reports that as it was vacant for a while, that people were breaking in there to do black masses or occult practicing.
Well, that's rude.
Yeah, don't break into places. That's rude. So sometimes people will see a black hooded entity that haunts the basement and the stairwells to the basement. It's been seen gliding around and giving off what people assume is an anxious feeling. Different residents have said that from the 1950s that it may have been the haunting of a sister who had killed herself in the basement.
Why was she so sad?
I don't know. There's a lot of reasons that people take their own lives. And
we don't know who it was.
Think that it might be Sister Angelique. There's another, what's considered, quote, dwarfish figure that's also dressed in a hooded black robe that laughs as it glides up and down the staircases and when it haunts the passageways of the basement. There's also an entity that's called the Shadow Man who brushes past them as they're going down into the basement or to the laundry room. A lot of people think that the shadowy man that brushes past people is an old caretaker that was taken in by the Ursuline nuns because he was homeless at the time and he didn't have that much money. They'd also had given him a dark robe because it would get cold, but he lived in the basement. So people think that when they feel him or when they see him, he has a dark and brooding feeling. I'm gonna guess that it comes from the fact that he's in a hooded black robe. People feel an uneasiness, people feel an uneasy feeling, or that they're being watched and that they feel like there's a draining. They're not sure exactly how tall he is when he comes in. Sometimes he's 4 foot, sometimes he's 8 foot, and he always glides above the floor. In one case, the elevator doors down to the basement had opened and a phantom figure had come out at one of the patrons that was there. So the patron freaked out, obviously didn't take the elevator, went up the stairs.
I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of orbs that are revealed in pictures, especially in the attic, on the balcony, at the foot of the stairs, or in the basement. There's been people too when they're going up the stairs in the Gerber house, whether they be residents or people that are visiting the property. When they go up the stairs, they'll hear different sets of feet. So it sounds either like there are adult humans following them and they'll turn around and no one's there, or very fast children's feet running up and down the stairwell. There's another shadowy form that darts up and down the stairs and peers from behind the beams in the Gerber house. They think that it might be Sister Angelique, who was a nun who lived there in the 50s and had hung herself in the basement. They do have public ghost hunts. The last time was this year in May, and the rules are great. I think they're great. They don't allow seances or Ouija boards on the property.
Because a lot of people are under the assumption that it's just a fun game or that you can communicate with the dead for sheer amusement, and that really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm. Anyone that's going around and trying to scare other people is completely expelled from the property, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
There have been some people that have written online about how they got spooked by seeing a man and a small boy looking at each other through a window, but upon closer inspection, it was a picture of Jesus talking to a little boy. And they think that people leave that in there so that a lot of jerks don't break it in the middle of the night.
Oh my God.
I think it's so funny. Some people have also, because it is on a large property, sometimes children do play outside. And one child had told some investigators that he heard piano music in there sometimes, which I'll get to in a moment, but also had suggested that, quote, the ghost Pokemon might inhabit the building and we should be careful.
Oh my God. If there's a Gengar in there, I'm going in with a fucking master ball.
We talked a little bit about the cells, which sometimes people refer to as the nunnery. Like I said, it was sometimes used for nuns to reflect. It was sometimes used as prayer rooms, and then oftentimes it was used as areas for the nuns to sleep. People often say it's very claustrophobic, but it was a small area, so of course it is. You hear creaking and crackling hardwood, sometimes beneath your own feet, and sometimes if you're standing still, you'll hear it like someone's walking down the hallway after you when no one is there. The first floor bathroom is directly off of the main entrance. A lot of people feel like they're not alone. They hear coughing in the bathroom and they see moving shadows. An EVP caught Carolyn while they were in that bathroom. Sometimes in the Gerber house that people are racing each other around the grounds. Once again, it's different footsteps. So there's larger footsteps and then also smaller footsteps that sound like they might be children. So it could have been an adult chasing them around and playing with them, or several kids running back and forth. In room 218, people have seen movement in the corner of their eyes, especially people that were currently staying there in their studio spaces. One person had seen an apparition of a nun sitting by the window and looking as though she was coughing violently. The woman said she didn't know why, but she thought it had to have been because of tuberculosis. And this woman apparently had no historical backing to believe that. She said specifically, I'm a skeptic. The piano room, sometimes people hear a piano on the third floor of the building. It echoes through the hallway. When residents would look from their door to see where it was coming from, because like I said, it's an artist space, so someone may have been playing the piano. When residents would look out, assuming that someone was down playing the piano, and then realize it was piano music, some of them would go back into their rooms. The ones that were more adventurous would walk down the hallway to where the noise was coming from, open the door, and see a completely empty room. When one of the investigators was in there, he heard what sounds to him as though a heavy bag was being dropped near the piano. I wouldn't say it sounded like a heavy bag, it just sounded like a couple bangs, but I'm not him. I wasn't there, and all I'm hearing is what he had recorded. In the cells, it seems to be very quiet, but people always feel like they're not alone. It almost always seems like whatever is watching them out of curiosity, but this particular man had said it seemed like it was crowding him at some point in time and almost scolding him to stay out of certain areas, which I could understand. Why was this man in my room? Another reference to shadow figures darting in and out of rooms and or peering out from their rooms, accompanied by whispers and sometimes voices as well. That they're like, well, I don't know if it's haunted, but it's much more of a place for the living than for the dead. And I was like, that's really cute.
That's nice.
Yeah. Another person had said that they felt and had a 60-minute interaction while they were in one of the places. And they heard stuck here, need prayers, and then had knocking on command in answer to questions. A partition in the basement that was stowed there had hit an investigator during an EVP session. He tried to redo it when he was talking about it. It did not do anything. The queer hunters had one of their investigators report that he had sensed longing and belonging being sent to him in the graveyard. He also said that it feels like they want to get out of here. They are really heavily into using dowsing rods. The questions that they were asking, the entity had responded more when the person presenting as a lesbian had been asking the questions. Apparently her name was Madeline, and the bear, when he was asking questions, was like, do you want me to give it to my friend? And then it was like, yup. One of the members had felt as though they were underrepresented as their true selves, and this may have been the first time that the entities living in the building had felt okay that there were people that could see them as who they were and feel comfortable enough to come and talk to people that were similar to them. Meters were lit in tandem with the dowsing rods when questions were asked, so they would light up the meter as well. Sometimes a flashlight would turn off right before the question was asked and then turn back on as the question was answered with the dowsing rod. They thought they saw a figure, and then referenced again the angry nun in the theater. In the later parts of the episode, they had said that they had experienced her anger the next day, and that they think the nun is not happy about it being turned into an art space. They thought they may have acquired a spirit that had followed them home because the house had started having different experiences. Keys were constantly lost. Eventually a bat had gotten into the house and apparently attacked the woman's mother.
That's amazing!
And then footsteps were also caught on EVP pacing the house back and forth while the woman was asleep and she was alone with her dog. That's the Ursuline nuns haunting Collingwood Arts Center.
That was a really good story. I especially liked the part about the particular friends.
Yeah.
I feel like we had two really great stories to cap off our Pride Month tales.
So since you did true crime, you need to beguile me with a nice cheersy so I can cheers you with my tea.
I'm really jazzed that I found this toast. There are good ships, there are wood ships, there are ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be.
You are such a cute little nerd.
Cheers.
Cheers. If you'd like to cheers with us, you can do so on any of our social media. You can do it on our Twitter or on Snapchat. Every once in a while, remember to take Snapchat stories. And those are both Shots in the Dark P.
We are on Instagram. We are Shots in the Dark Podcast. We're also on Facebook, Shots in the Dark Pod. And you can absolutely email us anytime you want. We're shotsinthedarkpodcast@gmail.com.
And it would be incredibly helpful to both of us if you could rate and review us on both iTunes and the new Google Podcast app that apparently just got fixed. We have one episode on Spotify. We're waiting for our other RSS place to be finalized so that more can go up.
Yeah, guys, technology is hard.
We do really want to support the podcast community as well as other charities. So we do have a Patreon that not only helps us, but also helps you and hopefully other people as well.
It's not about us.
Yeah.
We do paranormal stories. There's all these historic locations, and let's take an interest in the things that we love and let's further them.
From both of us here at Shots in the Dark,
we hope we've left you shaken,
not stirred.
Bye.
Bye.
But
No.